This is Rell, and a lot of people have been saying that it's the first real Roblox One Piece game. And with the game releasing literally next month, there's still a lot about it that you probably don't know. So today we're taking a look at just why people have been calling Rell the first real Roblox One Piece game. So because this game is so big, I'm gonna split this video up into 4 different parts, ranging from pretty cool stuff to the coolest things that I've seen. And by the end of this video, you'll probably be ready to play Rell. Starting with part 1, progression. So in Rell, one of the main things that they promise with the game is a unique progression system, where it's made so that you can progress your character by doing pretty much anything, whether that be cooking, fishing, or even just selling items. And according to the developers, you should be able to progress by doing things like literally opening your own restaurant, fishing, or by being a merchant. And with most One Piece games usually only focusing on bandit beating as a form of progression, this would be a nice change. Another thing I really liked was the poster system, where you can basically create your own unique build by simply choosing different posters. Like this poster that lets you finish a combo by geppoing towards your enemies after you throw them away, or this observation hockey poster that gives you 8 dodges, or even this conquerors hockey poster that allows you to knock out players who are near you. Moving on to part 2 though, next up we have gameplay. So the gameplay of Rell, from what I've seen, is trying to cover the bigger stuff like ship combat to even the smaller stuff like parkour systems. But one part about the gameplay that stood out to me specifically though was the wildlife system. So in Rell, you can literally just be sitting there chilling and then have a whole dinosaur spawn on you, or a deer, or a bear. Any number of wild animals can just spawn on you, and I guess you can either kill or cook them for EXP. Even though this isn't a huge detail, I gotta give them props for creativity. The other thing I thought was really cool was the parkour system. The game lets you wall run as well as slide, and what other One Piece game have y'all even seen have a parkour system? GPO? Walkthroughs? Because personally, I haven't seen that. And as y'all probably know, movement is a big thing in One Piece, so this addition could be huge in making the game feel more realistic as well. Another thing I liked was the mount system, and yes, the game also has actual mounts, which again, you would think more One Piece games would. But anyway, you can ride on, pause, and this isn't even the entire list, just some of the stuff that we've seen: giant crabs, wolves, foxes, this goat thing, and even Smoker's motorcycle. This game is also probably the only One Piece game I've seen to take ship combat seriously, which again is kind of crazy considering One Piece is a pirate anime. But anyway, the way this game made its ship system is actually really well thought out. So you can customize the different parts of your ship, whether that be the front, midsection, or rear section, and it seems like every change you make really has a large effect on your ship overall. For example, if you wanted to put a giant ram on the front of your ship, you'd probably be a little more offensive, but you'd maybe be a bit slower to compensate. Or if you wanted to add different weapons like mortar cannons or chain shots, you'd be able to choose between them. The game also has a blueprint system, where you can basically unlock different blueprints to further change your ship, like killing a sea beast and then building its wings to add onto your ship to make it go faster or turn faster, but you get the gist. The game also has actual submarines, which you can use to explore the map and even get into actual fights with. There are also a good amount of unique gameplay mechanics like lockpicking, which lets you unlock chests, or fishing, which lets you catch and I assume cook fish, or even blacksmith, which lets you upgrade your weapons and even enchant them. Another really cool thing I liked was the boss system, and it seems like with this, Rell is really trying something new, letting you fight giant bosses like this tiger, or this literal giant boss, or this giant boss, or Pika, and each of them look like they have their own attack patterns, which is pretty cool. Now some people were complaining about the way the boss fights looked. Personally, I'm not going to say anything until the game actually comes out, but I do have to appreciate the fact that they're trying to do something new. Next up though is probably my favorite part about the game, and that's combat. So in Rell, you can box pretty much any way you can in One Piece, whether that's with guns, actual fighting styles like Blackleg or Rokushiki, or even giant root battles like this one. And as far as actual combat goes, the game has an evade system that lets you escape certain attacks, as well as a parry system that lets you parry and knock back others. From what I can see, all fighting styles and devil fruits have a strong attack that come with them, as well as a cutscene ability, and these can apply to literally anything from a literal bazooka to an actual devil fruit like the flame fruit, for example. Another really cool thing about this game's combat is the mobility. You can ladder combo the person you're fighting, grab and throw them while they're in the air, and then depending on your own unique builds, continue to combo them from there. What I like most about this game's combat is that it looks like it's being made to be very grounded. It at least sounds like they're not aiming to make it Geppo spam like other games, GPO, as they've apparently made it so you can only use Geppo 3 times during an actual fight, which makes sense. And when it comes to actual weapons, the game has some pretty good variety as well, ranging from the cooler stuff like Mihawk's Yoru, Shank's Griffin, and guns, to even the more random things like Rook's Soul Guitar, Morgan's Axe, or Crocodile's Hook, which is low-key in every One Piece game. The game also has a wide variety of fighting styles like Rokushiki, Blackleg, and probably the most important in my opinion, gun styles. See, in this game, it seems like they're actually taking guns seriously, which once again is something that pretty much every One Piece game should be doing, because guns were a huge part of the show. And the actual gun mechanics are pretty cool as well, with each gun having actual recoil, skills, cutscenes, and even letting you defend against guns by actually deflecting the bullets. And even if that's not a major feature late game, I gotta give the Rell brothers props for that. Literally no One Piece games take guns seriously, and it makes no sense. But probably the most important part of the game to most people are the devil fruits. So I gotta be honest, I wasn't too sure at first, but I actually really like the direction they took with this game's devil fruits. So each devil fruit seems to have their own unique M1s, like the flame fruit's burning punches, or the quake fruit's tremor punches, and in some case even even their own weapons, like the Hie fruit's ice sword. And from what we've seen, each fruit comes with their own ultimate ability as well as a cutscene ability. So in this case, for the flame blade fruit, for example, the ultimate would be Ace's Dai Enkai, and then the cutscene ability would be a cool animation like this. This isn't anything too crazy. Other One Piece games have had similar skill sets, kind of like GPO for example, but I'm sure Rell is going to try to take that one step further. When it comes to the different types of fruits, it gets even more detailed, with Logia type fruits obviously having a Logia bar, and zone type fruits apparently having a transformation bar, which does make sense. Speaking of zone type fruits though, Rell probably has some of, if not the best zones on Roblox. The only game that I can think of that might have shown us some things on a similar level is maybe Blox fruits, but even then, their zones don't seem as complex as Rell. So zone type fruits, we've seen that some of them, like the Venom fruit for example, have a hybrid and then a full transformation, with the hybrid form for Venom being the Venom Demon and the full form being the Venom Hydra, or so I assume. Or the Phoenix fruit for example, with this being the hybrid form and this being the full form. And of course, you also have these massive transformations like X-Drake's Allosaurus fruit or Kaido's Dragon fruit. And when it comes to these giant fruits fighting, the way that works is pretty cool as well. So in Rell, with the way they made their combat system, you have these gigantic fruits fighting each other and it actually looks smooth. You would think that with these giant models fighting each other, it would look janky or clunky or weird, but here it actually looks fun. And when it comes to flying devil fruits like Marco's Phoenix fruit, the flight combat actually looks pretty cool too. And I gotta say, they cooked with that. But even cooler than these giant transformations fighting each other are these giant transformations fighting regular humans. And let's be honest, that's literally One Piece. But anyway, that's where hockey comes into play. So with hockey and fighting styles, it seems like just like in One Piece, you can not only box with these insane fruits on an even level, but maybe even easily surpass them. For example, a really cool detail I noticed is that when you use Roku Ogon on Enel's giant form, briefly for a second, it actually takes them out of the transformation. And even if that's not an intended detail, it's still pretty cool. And actual devil fruit abilities can counter each other as well. With the barrier fruit, for example, that can reflect devil fruit abilities. Or clashing, which happens when you use two devil fruit projectiles against each other, like the smoke and flame fruit. But back to hockey, the way that it works in this game is pretty cool too. So the thing that stood out to me the most with this game's hockey was the amount of effort put into each aspect of the hockey system. Like with observation hockey, for example, depending on the posters you choose, you can gain the ability to see your enemy's health, abilities, or even their parry. And this to me seems a little more useful than most observation hockeys, as being able to see when your enemy can and can't parry can literally completely change a fight. But there's also more simple posters, like this one that turns your last M1 in a combo into a strong hockey punch. And there's even cooler stuff with hockey, like literally being able to sense when an enemy with strong hockey is approaching you, which is probably my favorite detail, I can't lie. And then there's the smaller, more miscellaneous stuff like Shank's Wi-Fi hockey on Green Bull, fire by the way, or this sort of Wano Luffy passive that knocks out anybody nearby, preventing you from being gripped, which is just crazy attention to detail. Finally, and probably the most important part of this video, is this game's release. So at the time of making this video, the developers have claimed that the game is going to be releasing in December, which is literally next month. And this game will probably be one of the first to do a lot of these more unique things like complex boss fights, ship combat, or even this type of progression system. For that reason, a lot of people have been saying that when this game drops, it's going to kill every other One Piece game. So like Blox Fruits, GPO, King's Legacy, they're all just dead. Now I can't say whether that's actually true or not, but what I will say is that when this game does drop, it's going to be scrutinized and looked at in a way that no other One Piece game ever has, purely due to the sheer amount of hype the game has right now. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I literally can't even open my phone without seeing something about Rell. Like the other day, my sister just called me randomly and just said something about Rell. But anyway, if it's any testament to the Rell brothers as developers, they've made some really high quality games in the past, like Shinobi Life 1, Beyond, and Shindo Life. And let's not forget, this isn't even their first time making a One Piece game. Those of y'all who might have forgotten, back in 2018, we got ROBUX, which was actually a really solid game for its time. And since then, they probably learned and grown a whole bunch as developers, so Rell, I'm expecting big things. So let me know what y'all think about Rell down below. Do you think that once this game drops, everything else is just dead? With that being said, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, drop a like in the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.